Loop engineering is super popular right now. I mean, I feel like I see it all the time on X and YouTube. But not many people know exactly what it is or how to use it, well, apart from these two guys. And people who try to explain it in videos tend to use detailed diagrams with complicated workflows. So I'm going to go in the opposite direction and try to build a very simple loop using Firecrawl's search feature to do some research and tell me exactly how to build one. So hit subscribe and let's see how this goes. So I've already done a bit of research on loop engineering, and it looks like everyone has their own way of doing things. Some use worktrees, some use MCP tools, and some even have a memory or state file to keep track of things. There doesn't seem to be one definitive way of creating loops, so the one I create in this video may be different from the one you need for your specific use case. And that will make sense a bit later on in this video. But to get started, I've already installed the Firecrawl CLI with skills, and you can do that by running this command. This will work even if you don't provide a Firecrawl API key. So with that set up, I can ask Claude Code to search the web and summarize everything about loop engineering, which it's going to use the Firecrawl search skill for, and it will provide a decent summary. Or I could do something even better and use the last 30 flames skill, which takes in a topic like loop engineering and uses the Firecrawl CLI to do a search, but it also searches Hacker News and GitHub directly before summarizing the results. And because all of these sources are inside the model's context, it can reference them in future prompts. You can check out the video description to see exactly how this skill was built from scratch. So with that information, I can ask it to give me some examples of simple loops I can build. And we can see examples here of 5 different loops, but the one that's caught my attention the most is this nightly triage loop, which can help triage all these issues that I have with a project I've been working on. Now, some of them have been triaged already with P1, P2, and P3, but we have a bunch of new ones that haven't been given tags. So let's create a basic loop for that. So I'll give Claude a prompt to help me do that with a link to the project. And it actually started working on the loop. So I interrupted it and then asked it to tell me what needs to be done, which it suggests writing a skill for reusable instructions, then to test that skill using the /loop command in Claude Code. I should mention I have the GitHub CLI installed, so it's going to use that to search for issues and learn more about the repo. But if I didn't have that installed, it could have just used Firecrawl. And then once I'm happy with the loop running locally, it then suggests promoting it to schedule so it can run on the cloud in Anthropic's infrastructure indefinitely. So let's go ahead and get it to create this loop by first writing the skill file, which it's done over here, and includes instructions for a dry run mode, which will run by default, as well as steps on how to find and label open issues, as well as a loop condition so it knows when to stop. So to test it, I'm going to use the loop subcommand on an interval of 5 minutes with the skill on a live flag just to see what it does. So now it's set the cron job, it's triggered the skill, and it's triggered a background agent that uses Firecrawl's scrape feature to triage the issues. And now that it's done, if we go back to GitHub, we can see that all the issues now have a label, and some of them even have comments to explain exactly why they were given a specific label. Now Claude is suggesting to cancel the loop that's running every 5 minutes and promote it to schedule with a longer interval since the testing has worked. But this has given me an idea on how to expand this simple loop. We can expand the triage skill not only to give a reason for why it gave a certain tag, but also to add supporting links and use Firecrawl to take screenshots where necessary. So here we can see some links have been included from Firecrawl's scrape, and here is a screenshot in a comment that again was taken by Firecrawl. Or we could expand the process even more by adding a second loop with its own skill that first picks the highest priority issue, works on it in an isolated work tree, and then when it's done, it runs tests, makes sure they pass, and then gets a sub-agent to review the code before creating a PR. So here's the skill Claude Code has created, which implements the priority issue by checking the tags, so P1 before P2 and P3, checks the scope to see if it's a big ticket to work on, in which case it's split down into sub-tickets, then sets up a work tree before implementing the code and running an independent PR reviewer before opening a PR. So after running the skill, it's created this PR with 17 files changed, and the independent PR reviewer found no findings, which is incredibly unusual. So I may have to tweak the skill so it uses a better model, or at least increase the reasoning effort. But this is what I've found with loops. There's a lot of testing, adjusting the skill or the process until it gets somewhere you're happy with. And when hypothetically it does get to a place I'm happy with, all I have to do is trigger them on a schedule to run indefinitely. We've already spoken about 2 very useful loops, but of course we could take the process further by adding a third loop that uses Firecrawl's interact feature to spin up a cloud browser and perform a set of happy path actions in parallel that it uses to find issues or suggest improvements to the app. And it can add these as GitHub issues, which means we'll have 3 loops that continuously improve the code, with the human PR reviewer being the bottleneck. But this is a loop for another video. In fact, if you do want me to make a video about creating this specific loop, let me know in the comments. So there you have it, a quick overview of loop engineering, starting off with a simple loop and going to something a bit more complex. And the really cool thing is I learned all of this through Firecrawl. So Firecrawl did the search based on the topic, gave me information about how loop engineering works, and with the power of Claude Code, it walks me through how to create my very first loop. If you want to learn more, we've written a pretty detailed article about loop engineering, and when it comes to creating your own loops, I highly recommend giving your agent this GitHub post with best practices on loop creation. And if you do decide to sign up to Firecrawl, you can use this code to get 500 extra credits. Finally, for this video, I mostly used the Firecrawl CLI, but if you prefer using an MCP server, we have one of those too, and you can check out this video to learn exactly how to set it up and what features it has.